Hi. As the last speaker for today, I feel I need to thank everyone for staying put after the large, sumptuous lunch, courtesy of Esri. So thank you, Joe and Leslie, for being wonderful hosts. I hope I can beat lunch, but I'll try to keep my presentation short and sweet. So my name is Julian, and I'm from the Urban Redevelopment Authority, and we are Singapore's National Land Use Planning and Conservation Authority. And our mission is to make Singapore a great place, a great city to live, work, and play in. So I may be preaching to the choir here, but many of us know Singapore is not a large country. We have limited land, but a relatively dense population of about 5.9 million people. But on top of the typical needs of a city, such as providing space for housing, for businesses, for retail, social services, we also need to provide space for being a city-state. We also need to provide space for our nation. For example, land for defense, utilities, ports, as shared earlier. These are land uses that are typically housed outside the city in many countries around the world. This is why careful land use planning is important to ensure Singapore remains a livable and sustainable place for all of us. But we all know that planning is becoming more complex and challenging over time. For example, as a low-lying nation with a global economy, the effects of climate change, as well as global economic disruptions, is particularly concerning to us in Singapore. Internally, there's also a need to respond to demographic shifts, such as an increasingly aging society, where it calls for the needs to provide for more facilities that cater to this particular demographic. And this is why we need to develop new tools and capabilities to tackle these challenges to ensure that Singapore remains globally competitive, as well as an enduring home for all Singaporeans. So with this is why we formed the Design and Planning Lab within URA. This was formed to drive the adoption of digital tools for urban planning and design, as well as to serve as a catalyst to incubate skills, ideas, as well as to accelerate insights and transform the way we plan and design within Singapore. We believe in an integrated end-to-end approach, starting first with data as a foundational asset, with key data governance and data engineering functions, followed by our platform and services team that look at how we can mainstream access to these data sets and tools to enable a large community of users to use them meaningfully in their work. But most importantly, we also have a team of experienced planners and architects. I myself am trained as an architect who are part of the lab that work at the intersection of domain and technology that looks to push frontiers for urban planning and design technology, transforming planning practices, as well as building up capabilities among practitioners. In 2022, URA was actually appointed as the Urban Planning and Design Technology Center of Excellence, or URBEX for short. So this gives us the mandate to not only lead the building up of strategic science and technology capabilities for URA, but to also take a sectorial approach to work with partners amongst other agencies, for example, HDB, LTA, JTC, as well as practitioners in the industry to look at how we can work together to increase the use of science and technology to improve the way we plan and design for our city. Our key pillars include, for the first one, improving the quality and access to fundamental planning data sets through a sector-wide data strategy, developing and mainstreaming common models and tools within a system of systems approach, as well as contributing thought leadership to shape the knowledge frontier on how to use science and technology capabilities to enable more advanced urban planning and design. Lastly, we're also working closely to strengthen the ecosystem of people at the intersection of planning and technology, conducting a lot of workshops and courses to help to uplift our capabilities together. So one of our key initiatives within the Design and Planning Lab and URBEX is to drive the increased use of 3D analytics and tools and modeling and simulation in urban planning and design. This is to enable our planners to simulate different urban scenarios quickly, as well as to evaluate them virtually before they are built, to test whether they could be optimized for better urban outcomes. For example, we are now able to conduct wind flow simulation to test out how different urban configuration, how we we carve out parcels, how we align our roads, how we place our buildings, whether they could be optimized to improve ventilation throughout the district and help us tackle rising urban heat. We can even do advanced simulation where we look at wind-driven rain. Many of us know rain in Singapore don't often fall vertically. It tends to also go horizontally somehow and come into our homes and our public spaces. And this is something we want to test out so that new developments have put in place design features to help mitigate against some of these inclement weather. Right? However, the act of mainstreaming the use of 3D workflows is not simple. Some of us may know here, as shared by Dr. Victor Koo this morning, there are a multitude of 3D data being used in industry today. For example, you have point cloud data, you have BIM data, mesh data, underground data, and all sorts of other data that's coming out. And many of these data are oftentimes non-interoperable. They require separate softwares, as well as very expensive hardware to run them smoothly. But most importantly, it requires specialist skills to use them. For example, only engineers or architects are familiar with modeling in 3D. So as a result, only a small group of people can meaningfully leverage on these workflows and use them for their work, which is not something that we want to achieve. Another challenge we face, other than technical hurdles, is that there was a need to transform the way we plan and simulate for sites within Singapore in the first place. Many of us were trained in traditional analog methods. This is a picture on my desk about 4 years ago. We still use physical models. It's a good tactile way to understand how the urban environment would be transformed through our plans. And we have also started to use 3D models, but only at a level for visualizing how it would look like, whereas many of the data calculation, urban metrics are done separately through Excel. So there's a need to bring everyone who has different levels of practice to a new workflow that is now integrated with geospatial technology. And that in itself was a challenge that we had to face. So we had a vision that we painted to everyone, was that 3D models are not just for visualization. You can use them for so much more. If we move from a disparate data workflow where your 3D models are stored separately from planning data, from 2D data, bring them all together in an integrated 2D, 3D system of record, we can do so much more with them to run analysis, simulation, to give us much richer and informative analytics to support data-informed decisions. So we took a two-pronged approach. Firstly, we worked on building up our 3D system of record, bringing in all the different forms of 3D data in different formats, building automatic data conversion pipelines, putting them together in a GIS system of record. And next, we look at how we can mainstream access. Oops, sorry. We looked at how we could mainstream access to these data sets as well as tools through the use of an intuitive web-based platform that we call ePlanner, which we developed entirely in-house. So ePlanner is our web-based geospatial platform that previously could only support 2D GIS workflows. But over the course of the year, last year, we enhanced ePlanner to now also support multiple 3D data sets, such as 3D urban models, BIM models, point clouds, and also underground models. With this platform, it is now used by more than 1,600 planners and architects from over 40 different agencies within the government. And they're now using it to run all kinds of data analytics, as well as 3D site simulations, where we can now easily simulate new buildings on a site and just key in how many floors do you want it to be, what is the use, and so on, without having to open up your 3D modeling software. So I can go on speaking about it, but I think it's easier if we watch a video. I'll just play the next video, and you'll see the range of capabilities. All right, so what's next? You may have seen in the video, we are now working to also incorporate modeling and simulation capabilities within ePlanner, and we are doing so in a modular manner, as well as across multiple domains such as environmental modeling, transport modeling, and network analysis. And this will help us to leverage on key capabilities, for example, procedural modeling to enable us to quickly generate different urban options and scenarios, and be able to test them and evaluate them using some of the modeling tools that we have built within ePlanner. And these evaluators and generator modules could be strung together into what we call a multi-objective optimization workflow, or MOON for short, to enable planners to quickly iterate through many different options, thousands even, things that we won't be able to imagine if we do it manually, and be able to test them against relationships of different performance metrics, for example, thermal comfort, urban heat island effect, impact on transportation, and so on and so forth. Next, we are also working with key partners like GovTech to enable multi-domain modeling and simulation to be federated through a simulation as service middleware that we call Urban Compute, and this will be made easily accessible through ePlanner. We also want to extend this ecosystem beyond the government to communities in the industry as well as research community, and we're doing so through an internet version of ePlanner called ePlanner X. And ePlanner X is not a finite set of capabilities. We are looking to continually build on new capabilities on this platform through an extensible platform where we imagine researchers and industry will be able to help contribute new capabilities by submitting plugins or extension through the ePlanner community. Right, so whatever I've shown you today would not have been possible without the close collaboration with some of our partners, Esri included. So if any of you are interested to find out more or even demo ePlanner, feel free to reach out to us via this QR code, and we'll be happy to discuss with you what could be possible. Last but not least, I promise to keep it short, I would like to just acknowledge the team behind ePlanner. We are not a large development team, but we are very well supported by not only our management, but also other members within the groups in URA. Yeah, with that, I thank you all for your attention.